Welcome everyone to our CyberSip evening. We had a few more registrations, but obviously they have not managed to turn up yet, and hopefully we'll get a few more coming a bit later tonight, the stragglers. But what we're focusing on tonight is cybersecurity and sipping gin. So two of my favourite topics, I guess, or maybe not. But so I'm from OE Digital. OE Digital is a managed print firm, and it looks after photocopiers for a number of customers in Ballarat, Mildura, Geelong, Horsham and Riverland area, or Berry in South Australia. So we tailor-make print solutions for our clients, designed to save them on their print costs, and also look at ways that they can evolve from print to maybe scanning, document management, all those sorts of things. So very focused on print. We also do quite a number of print production machines, which are those, sold to larger printers. And we've got Sam here from one of those places tonight. Welcome tonight. And so, yeah, that's what we do in OE Digital, more along the document side of things. Then we've got eManaged, which is our managed IT service provider. And we're very proactive in the way we offer our support to our customers. And when I say proactive, it's not just monitoring your machines, your computers, and telling you when, something might be going wrong with them once it's gone wrong. We're actually looking for ways to prevent problems, particularly now in this day and age, very focused on cybersecurity, other risks that may be in your systems, and having conversations with you to explain that, and then to build out a technology strategy. So it's a very holistic approach to IT.
Hey, having trouble?
Yeah, I just can't figure this out.
Data breaches, we secure your data with top-notch cybersecurity measures. Compliance issues? We ensure your business remains compliant with all regulations. With eManaged, your IT problems are solved just like that.
eManaged, providing proactive tech solutions for your business.
So that's just showing you some of the complexity that you can have in your IT nowadays. It's not just around getting a computer running, but looking at your cybersecurity. Compliance is a big part now in most organisations. From the board level down, you need to, boards need to be aware of their IT requirements and how to secure their data, because there's data people are holding that needs to be secured, and government agencies and other places are now saying you really need to make sure you're protecting that to a level or a standard. So we help our clients to achieve those standards. There's a number of standards we get them to achieve unto, so they comply with, and so that's what we do at eManaged. And so we look for organisations that are looking for technology to be a big part of their organisation. They want technology to drive their organisation and take their organisations to the next level using that technology. So they're looking more for efficiencies and gains that they can use their technology for. So what's on the agenda tonight? Paul Barge is here from Kaseya. Kaseya is a large software company that probably no one's heard of, but we use them a lot for ourselves as MSPs. They have tools which help us to look after our customers' IT and make sure that they are secure and that we can monitor them, help our customers should they have issues. So he's going to come forward and talk about Australia's cybercrime crisis and show you where the state of cyber is in globally and in Australia in particular. Then we're going to look at how you can spend smart, stay secure, and then transform your organisation. So I want to then focus on how being ahead of the game can help you in other areas, rather than just looking at it as a spend that you have to do. And then the part that everyone's waiting for, the gin distillery tour and networking. So without any further ado, we'll ask Paul to come forward.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you, eManaged, for putting on this event. I do a number of these events every year. And this is what a great venue we've got here today. probably tell by my accent that I'm not from Australia. I think I'm losing it gradually, but I think there's still a slight hint of an English accent. I started my career back in the UK in the early 90s. I was with Microsoft for 15 years. I joined in the early 90s before Microsoft had bought a word processor and a spreadsheet and a PowerPoint together and called it Office. I was also there when they developed this animated online for icon called Clippy. I don't know if anybody remembers Clippy, but I think we can see Clippy as the sort of predecessor to Copilot. Hopefully some of you are using AI at the moment. I came to Australia, worked for a number of different organizations, but for the last 5 years, I focused very much on cybersecurity. And today I'm going to give you a presentation which is hopefully not going to depress you too much. I'm going to arm you with a load of interesting facts and figures, hopefully make you laugh at some stage, but who knows, I might not be able to do that. But really, you know, we're living in a golden age. I think every one of us has started to use AI. You know, enterprises and medicine and governments are using AI to do amazing things. You know, we're identifying cancer earlier than we ever have. Farmers are using AI to identify, you know, how to water their crops better. I even sort of was at an event last week speaking to a couple of tradies who are using AI to do their quoting and to do their social media and to respond to customer inquiries. So we're in an amazing world. You know, AI is scary, you know. There's a lot to be scared about, and I've got two sort of teenage boys that are quite pensive about how the future is actually going to go for them and what jobs will sort of be there. But there's a lot of great stuff going out there. But on the flip side, AI is being used by the cyber criminals. They are some of the cleverest people in technology today, unfortunately, and they are using AI to become more effective in not only attacking us as individuals, but also us as enterprise organizations and small businesses. So that's me. So just to sort of frame what we're talking about as the scale of cybercrime, we've got the GDP of USA and China at 19 trillion and 29 trillion. Cybercrime is the third biggest economy in the world. I think we're looking at something like $11.5 trillion will be generated out of cyber criminal activities by the end of 2026. So it is a huge problem. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse as the cyber criminals actually get more adept at using AI to enhance their weaponry against us as individuals, governments, and as I said, as small businesses. So it's a huge problem. So, as I said, I came to Australia 20 years ago. I was amazed at the natural disasters that we experience as a nation. I think we all know the sort of the fires, the floods, the electrical storms. And these used to be the things as people that, you know, were concerned about their IT and were worried about their IT going down. It was natural disasters was one of the major things that we were worried about. But also it was, you know, hardware failure not working. It was also that person coming into the office and accidentally deleting all the sort of customer information off the database. We fast forward now to today, and it's a very different world. There are a lot more things that have actually become more prevalent on our risk registries. I think we all know about ransomware, and I'll come on a bit more about ransomware. SaaS providers, we love the cloud. Australia is, you know, we use technology brilliantly. We've all sort of put our customer information into the cloud. We use Salesforce, we use Datacom, we use Google, we use Salesforce.com, but our data isn't safe or isn't protected by these companies. If you read the sort of the EULA, the user license, Microsoft quite categorically says that, you know, the actual security of your data is entirely up to you. So we've also got malicious users. We've also got phishing and BEC, which is business email compromise, and I'll come on to talk about that as well. But because of all these things, we're now getting stricter regulations. Australian government wants to be the best country in the world as far as cyber resilience in the world. So there's going to be a lot more legislation that's coming out. There was already the first Cyber Act that came out last year, and that's sort of really focused on the Internet of Things, because that's, you know, we use the Internet of Things, you know, it's in our lamps, it's on our cows, it's in our houses. Those devices have to be secure, and the first act was really sort of focusing on making sure that those devices were really secure. But it's also make sure that we actually register when we've actually been attacked by a cyber incident. That's a real gathering information situation. We're moving towards the next second, third, and fourth wave, which is going to put very much the onus on us to get our cybersecurity act together, basically. And also cyber insurance, something we didn't think about 4 or 5 years ago, and cyber insurance now, the uptake in Australia and New Zealand is becoming a lot swifter. We're behind Europe and the US as far as our uptake, but more and more companies are realizing that, you know, they need to protect themselves, and it's not an if situation, but a when situation. Then they need to take out cybersecurity, like we do with house and car insurance. So I go back to the UK frequently, and I've been to the US, so obviously living in Australia. And they went, Australia, you guys have been hit by cybercrime in a big way. And we have. We've had some of the biggest sort of cyber incidents in the world. You know, we had the Medibank, we've had Optus, we've had Latitude, we've had our universities being attacked as well. So, you know, we are, as a country, probably, and there's this place called the dark web. And if you don't know, that's where a lot of the cyber criminals will sort of take our data and monetize it to actually use that data and make money. They reckon about 50% of all sort of Australians over a certain age's credentials are up on the dark web because of these major attacks and others. And if you have a look at the sort of the picture in the middle of the guy wearing a hoodie, that's how we used to perceive the criminals. It's that guy in his mother's basement doing evil things, tapping away at his a laptop. $11.5 trillion means that cyber criminals now don't look like this. They look like large enterprise organizations. They act very much like large enterprises. They've got their R&D development teams, they've got their marketing teams, they've got their sales teams who have actually got sales targets on a weekly basis to hit certain revenue goals, and they'll be targeting estate agents in Victoria, or they'll be going after medical practices in New South Wales. They'll develop campaigns to focus on those verticals. And they've also got the best support. If you've ever had a ransomware attack, you'll get a lovely person sort of phoning you up on the phone, talking you through very gradually and very kindly on how to set up a cryptocurrency account so you can actually pay for the ransomware. So it's huge. And as I said, AI is enhancing the velocity of the attacks that are happening, and I'll sort of cover that up in a minute. But again, that's sort of yesteryear. Enterprises used to be the target of the cyber criminals, and we could all sort of relax going, well, it's not our problem. This is an enterprise problem. They're not going to come after us as small businesses. Well, that's very much flipped on its head. And now we're seeing that 73% of all cyber attacks are focused on small to medium-sized businesses. And the average loss for a small to medium-sized business is about 56,000. And that figure isn't just the sort of cost of the ransomware, it's the legal costs, it's the amount of downtime that you as an organization is down, because we all use technology to run our businesses. So if our technology is not working, then we're not doing business. And probably the saddest statistic is the second one, which says that 60% of businesses close permanently following a ransomware attack in the following sort of 12 months. Now that sort of statistic is disputed, but the FBI came out with it. But I think it is a sort of a very relevant one. And again, it's not just because of the ransomware that affects their sort of balance sheet. It's also the reputational damage, and it's being offline and not being able to do business for, can be up to sort of 8-10 weeks. So why are they focusing on SMBs? Because we're very easy targets. We are the low-hanging fruit for these cyber criminals. They know that we, as organizations, haven't got the tools and the IT departments that the enterprise accounts have. So they target us as being very, very easy targets and very good transactional money. Because we know that we've got limited resources. We know that our defenses are weaker. Our cyber awareness, we don't do the necessary training to our employees that's actually needed to make sure that nobody comes into the office and clicks on that link. And that's sort of game over. And every small business has valuable data. You've got customer data, some of you have financial data. I work with a lot of charities, and unfortunately charities are targeted more than most because they have this donor information, they have all those customer sort of information as well. All that information that they will sort of take away from you once you see that ransomware attack note on your screen will be used and traded on what's called the dark web. So how does it happen? Well, humans are responsible for 90% of all the attacks that happen. It's something that we do as individuals that's stupid or, I guess, wrong that we've done that actually lets the cyber criminals actually in. So this is the future King of England. And this slide highlights, I guess, lack of training. This is Prince William, who's a member of the RAF. He flies helicopters. He's having a great time sort of kicking back with his fellow colleagues. He posted this on a blog. He does a blog all the time, and this blog went out to the world. Unfortunately, nobody noticed that there up on the actual notice board was the username and password for a highly confidential RAF system. I don't think these guys were actually so jolly when they went into their superior officer's sort of office to explain how stupid they've been. But lack of training, there's one thing that I would say is make sure your people are trained and aware. You're in a room invited by eManaged. These guys can actually do simulation training for you. They can send spoof emails that are like phishing campaigns, and you can actually see who out of your employees does that fatal sort of click where basically it would be game over. So put that training in place. For those of you lucky enough not to have had a ransomware note, that's what it looks like. It's full of jeopardy, but basically you've got a time limit to actually go out and pay the ransom, otherwise it doubles and doubles again, and they make it very stressful for anybody that's ever had one of these. There's also lack of planning. I mean, what do you do when you get that screen? Who do you phone? Who do you contact? What systems do you close down? Do you contact your customers? Every organization should have a plan, and that plan should be tested. And again, eManaged, that's the sort of services that they can do. And it's, if you're working with eManaged to look after your IT needs, then that's part of the plan, is phone Ivan, basically. Password hygiene. God, we all hate passwords, don't we? We've all got so many passwords that we actually have to remember. And most of the time, probably we use the same password multiple times. We'll probably use our Netflix password. It's the same as our company password. And if we're asked to change it, we'll up the number. And if we want to make it really difficult, we'll probably add an exclamation mark. We've got to get better at passwords. It's still a great way for, if they get your Netflix password, because they're dealing in such volumes, they're pretty sure that they're going to be able to guess your password at your corporate or small business account. So get better at doing pass phrases. Come up with a phrase rather than just one word. Make it difficult for them. We're moving towards a world where there's passcodes. So people like Google and Microsoft are populating the sort of passwords for us. MFA, again, is a great way for you to protect yourself. It's a pain in the butt. But MFA, actually trying to getting into your system and then being asked to verify that login using your phone with a number, it's a great way to stop those criminals getting in. As I said, phishing attacks are on the increase. It used to be, great when we got an email through. It was probably from like the king of Nigeria asking you for money, and it was badly written. Now the cyber criminals can produce phishing attacks pretty much within minutes, and they can make them look identical to the sort of well-known brands that we love. So again, we've got to be super careful about these. And this is an old slide, but when ChatGPT came out, there was a 1,265% increase in the amount of phishing emails that we all got, whether that's individually or whether that's on our phone or whether it's on the small business side of things. So it's become a big problem. Now, I counter everything by saying the bad guys are using AI, but also the good guys are using AI as well. So all the technology that we have as Kaseya and that eManaged uses, we are using AI to make sure that when you get emails coming in, there's an AI agent scanning that email for anything that looks strange, anything that looks not right. AI is analyzing those emails and making sure that they don't get through to you. I didn't want to be so depressed. But, most brands are impersonated. I got called out by this one. I was in Auckland. I'd had my wallet stolen the week before, so I was updating all my standing orders. I got this text through from the motorway tolls people in Sydney saying, you've got to update your information, otherwise we're going to fine you $200. There's always that sort of jeopardy that makes you do something urgently. I did that, put in my new account details, and within, I think, about half an hour, 10 laptops have been bought in Parramatta underneath my name. So, because you're getting this sort of volume, you've got to be ever more vigilant as individuals and as businesses as well. Business email compromise, probably more, I guess, profitable for the cyber criminal. When they can actually get into your email, it gives them much more scope to do some financial type sort of skullduggery. And they will sit there and they will monitor your emails until there's a transaction that happens, and they will jump in and go, oh, sorry, that email I just sent you, Matt's got the wrong sort of account details. Here's the new account details. That happens. I travel around the country. That happens more often than you would ever believe. And estate agents used to be the one that's sort of targeted. It's called thread hacking. So they'll just wait till the thread is absolutely the right time to actually jump in, and then they'll try and secure that money. So email compromise, a big issue. AI-powered attack. You know, for you guys that have been following AI in the newspapers, it's getting scary. It's clawed by Anthropic. They bought out a new sort of platform that they believe is too dangerous to actually launch out there to the public. So they're doing a closed beta test at the moment to make sure that there are guardrails on this platform that really can identify any weaknesses within an organization. And that weakness could be, you know, a version of Windows that's sitting on a server that hasn't been updated for a long time. My US colleague loves this slide. He's into films, so is Olivia, into films, although not as fanatical as she should be. But it used to be, you know, that the sort of hackers out there were deemed, you know, as the heroes, as cuddly people, as the Robert Redfords and the Matthew Broderick in sort of war games. We're cottoning on a lot more now to realize that these guys are horrible scumbags. And if you've ever had a situation where you've been hacked, or you know a loved one's been hacked, then I strongly recommend The Beekeeper. It's where Jason Statham basically has a relationship with this old lady who loses all her life's earnings through a scam, through a phishing campaign. And then he basically takes out the whole organization in lots of different gruesome ways. So it's very cathartic if you want to actually feel better about cyber criminals getting what's coming for them. As you can tell, I'm a big TikTok user, but this was a TikTok sensation. This was an actor that looked like Tom Cruise, and the company behind this TikTok campaign basically took his face and turned him, using deep fake, into a very, very, well, near perfect Tom Cruise. So he not only looked like Tom Cruise, but he sounded like Tom Cruise. They got loads of videos with Tom Cruise playing golf. Tom Cruise doesn't play golf. Doing lots of magic tricks. He doesn't make magic tricks. Saying lots of stupid things. He does say some stupid things, admittedly, but they convinced everybody that this was Tom Cruise. And this was probably 4 years ago. We have to worry about what we see on our phones, and we have to worry about our phishing emails that come through to us. We're now actually having to worry about voice as well. And it only takes 3 seconds of a conversation with you guys to actually deep fake your voice convincingly. So again, you know, the bank manager phoning you up, asking you to change your details or transfer money, or anybody asking to transfer money, always pick up the phone, make sure it's not a telephone number that's been emailed to you, and actually phone somebody human to verify. Business email compromise, deep fake, looks a bit futuristic, doesn't happen very often. This is a situation where a poor man who'd had his email compromised got invited to a Teams meeting. He turned up to the Teams meeting and there was all his colleagues that looked exactly like his colleagues. He had his chief financial officer there. The call went on for about 7 minutes. He was absolutely, didn't think anything had gone wrong. At the end of that, the CFO said, right, Charlie, I want you to transfer 25 million into this account, which he duly did. And then you'll see game over. Cyber criminals, or criminals in general, it's not an Ocean's 11 where it takes them days, weeks, months to try and do heists. Now they can sit behind their keyboard and work out really impressive campaigns to actually get you. And that means our governments have stood up, and I've already talked about that. There's something here called SMB 1001, which is similar to the Essential 8. The Essential 8 was a framework that was created by the government for government users, but it also then went out to industry as a great framework for them to follow If you follow all these, you know, patching your applications, configuring your offices, doing backups, well, there are different levels, but it was a great, but it wasn't designed for the small business. In SMB 1001, please do talk to eManaged. SMB 1000 is a framework focused at small businesses. It's easy to follow. There's various different levels of sort of bronze, silver, gold, diamond, but it's a great way of you showing your customers that you're actually taking precautions. And it's also a good badge for you guys to have, to say that we've reached a level of cybersecurity that's appropriate to our risk, basically. As I said, the business benefits, you know, if I was looking at an estate agent who had a sort of gold seal of approval from SMB 1001 and one that hadn't, I'd probably go for that one because I'm the gold guy. Because I want to know that my data and all my information is probably secure. Right, we're on the home run now. So this is the last sort of 3 slides, and I always like to use the story of the 3 little pigs. Okay, bear with me. So this first house, in cybersecurity terms, is a house with very little cybersecurity. It's probably got some antivirus. It's got does some backups once every 4 months or so. But if I'm a cyber criminal, I'm walking along the street and I see this house, I'm going to walk up the garden path. I'm going to elbow the window or knee down the door, and I'm going to be into this house straight away. Now, the second house, they've actually tried to do a bit more cybersecurity. They're using MFA, maybe their endpoints are protected. They're trying to do it potentially themselves. And they believe that they've done enough cybersecurity to keep the bad guys out. But if I'm a cyber criminal again and I want to get into this house and I've got the time and the tools and the effort to do it, and the wire cutters and the thing that breaks down the door that you see on police soap operas, I'll get into this house. Now, the final house, this house you definitely wouldn't want to live in. This house is probably in Siberia somewhere. But this is the house that eManaged can build you. And the difference about this house is it has people sort of patrolling your perimeter on a constant basis. These guys have got the cars, the tools, the watchtowers. They've got all the tools they need to be able to protect yourself, protect you guys as customers. And they have the passion to be able to do that. They're not, this isn't just, you know, a one-off house. They will continue to try and add to this house. Probably more barbed wire, maybe some mines or whatever. But this is the house that you really need to look at if you want to be cyber secure. And thankfully, this is the house that sort of eManaged can actually build for you. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. You've been great. Looking forward to the gin tasting with you guys afterwards. So if you've got any questions or want to grill me about anything IT-wise, looking forward to it. But thank you very much for your time.
I'd like to think if eManaged was building that house, it looked a little bit more stylish, particularly with our marketing manager, Olivia, being involved. So what I want to talk about, go play that just quickly. So talked about AI. This is a UK O2 telecoms company, and they're using AI to combat scammers.
Have been targeted by scammers. And it's not just our grandparents. I was one of them. But this film isn't about getting scammed. This is about getting even. Meet my friend, Daisy.
Hello, scammers. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm an AI created by O2 to waste phone scammers' time. So, W's then a dot.
3 times W and then dot.
I think your profession is bothering people, right?
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
It's nearly been an hour! For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies. It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
It's showing you a picture of your cat, Fluffy.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid...
Got it, dear. Because while they're busy talking to me, they can't be scamming you. And let's face it, dear, I've got all the time in the world.
So whilst you're out enjoying life, Daisy and O2 are here fighting scammers, taking calls and wasting hundreds and hundreds of hours of scammers' time. If you want to help Daisy and O2 ruin a scammer's day, you can report scam numbers to 7726. Because you can't do it all on your own, can you, Daisy?
Who says I am, love? Speak soon, scammers.
Just an example of how AI is being used in a great way, but that's just flippant. Over to you, Ivan, sorry.
Thank you. Now, what I want to talk about now is there's all the scary stuff about cybersecurity and all the money you've got to spend to fix it and all that sort of, like an eManaged can secure your house like that. But what I want to talk about is why staying secure is actually a smart thing to do, not just from a spend point of view, but from a productivity point of view. It can transform your organisation. We've already learned the cost of cybersecurity, the cost of a incident. $46,000 is the average cost. 60% of small businesses that suffer from a serious breach close within 6 months. So that's the seriousness of it. So what can we do about that? I want to really reframe this conversation. Most organisations see cybersecurity as that spend that you've got to do. Just to secure stuff. It's like spending on insurance. It's a bit of a grudge purchase because you're probably not going to use it. You're probably going to pay for it over 30, 40 years and all that money's just gone down the drain. And most organisations think, well, I've got my business stuff that I need done and my CRM, I want all the software that helps me run my business. And I'll see that in manufacturing. They spend a lot of money on their production floor where that's going to make money. So the areas that make money, they spend money on, but the security is a grudge purchase. What do I have to spend on all these tools and all this money spent on areas that I'm not really going to get much benefit for? And they look at it as two different budgets. But that cost is not the real cost. The money you don't spend on your computers now becomes a cost to your business later. So staff, frustration and lost time. So that might not even be through a cyber incident. It just might be through having slower old laptops or systems not set up right, so it takes a long time for a user to get in. Systems that are not reliable, so staff don't use them. Unplanned downtime, so where you have to go and upgrade systems or whatever and the staff can't work. And eventually trust becomes an issue where staff say, well, you roll out a system, it doesn't work properly the first time, and they get frustrated and they lose trust in it and don't want to use that system. And finally, the compliance and legal exposure, which is, can affect your brand. It can affect, costs such as legal costs later on. So really it's a ticking time bomb, not spending or doing the right things to your IT at the right time. So really what I want to reframe it is it's two investments, one strategy. So you've got your direct business tools, which you spend on, and you can say, well, look, I'm going to upgrade my systems so I can run the software I need to run. But at the same time, for not a lot more, you could actually be looking at your risk, making sure that it's rolled out correctly. And to do that, you need to know all your risk so that you can look at it and say, well, while I'm rolling out this system, I want to fix up these issues here and make sure that my systems are secure. And the cost, when you're rolling it all out together, doesn't become a whole heap more. And rolling it out the right way, often saves you money in the long run. The reliability dividend. What happens when systems are secure? They become more reliable. They stay up longer. Staff they trust the systems that they're using. They will use them more because they know they're going to work. And therefore, you become more productive. And that's what eManaged focuses on. It's not just saying, well, look, we've got to spend all this money on your cybersecurity. Well, look, we can see all this risk here, and we want you to spend money here because there's problems and you're going to see this. There might be a problem in the future. What we're trying to do is make your systems more productive so that you can start engaging in the upside of all the, the AI revolution, all the things that are going on right now you can engage and take advantage of. So it's a chain reaction really from security to productivity. You know, you start getting that base right, and it helps out with productivity later on. And that's where AI comes in. People talk a lot about AI and how they want to implement it, but you can't implement it unless your structures, your data is set up right. All it will do is produce bad results. So having good processes around your technology, having your data stored in the right spots, having it secured the right way means that when you implement things like AI, it's not going to go to the wrong areas where, you know, the secure areas and get data that you don't want to go out. It's also going to look for the right data rather than a whole heap of messy data. And it's going to help you with your automation and other areas of your business where you can build those productivity gains or be able to do more with less staff or with the same number of staff. So the path to transformation, it starts with a secure foundation. So looking where your risk is, that's where it starts. And once you've got that secure foundation, because I think most organisations, they get technology, they start off with a computer, then they get 2 computers, then they get a server, then next minute they're moving to the cloud, then everyone's got a computer, then they've got iPads going out to the staff and phones, and they're all interconnected and the data's going everywhere. And that's how systems tend to grow originally. But now we've got to look at it in a wholesome way. You've got to look at it, where's our foundation? Where's our data stored? Who's got access to it? Is it secured? Is it secured safely using things like MFA, good passwords? Are all the users trained and so forth? Then when you get to that reliable IT operations, then you start to get productivity gains and growth there because you can use collaboration tools like Microsoft 365, which has those, you know, ability to share spreadsheets and all that sort of stuff. And then from there, when you've got that secure foundation, then things like Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI, can work well for you because it knows what's secure, what it shouldn't access and what it can access. And having, what you'll find in most organisations, which is the real scary part, is that you might say, well, look, I don't want people to use AI in my organisation because I'm worried about the security. You'll still find your staff are probably using AI. They're probably using the wrong AI. And so getting ahead of the game before it becomes an issue is very important. And knowing what AI is being used and having tools to test that becomes very important. So for every sector, there's different sectors here tonight. So like there's health, there's non-for-profits, there's finance, and there's professional services. So each of those areas benefit. So having a risk, patient data privacy, Medicare compliance, clinical system reliability, that's what you're aiming for in health. But the opportunity is to then start looking at AI to get that information, be able to automate appointment workflows, AI-assisted admin, telehealth integration. And I heard of a wonderful story the other day just in this area where a doctor in, I think it was down in Werribee, has set up this whole AI platform to do triage for his patients when they come in. And then the doctors are already prepped, knowing what's this patient's going through. They can go through more patients per day, and it helps them a lot in that way. So he's built this whole platform out, so much so that now the hospital's actually looking at it to implement that sort of system. So having that right does give you a lot of productivity and other advantages. Not-for-profits, as we said, they hold a lot of good donor information. They hold a lot of important information on clients. A lot of that is very sensitive information that not-for-profits hold. So you want to make sure you've got your compliance. You want to make sure it's protected. You want to make sure, you've got a limited IT budget. So you want to make sure when you spend, you get maximum for that spend. And so knowing where your IT is, where your risk is very important. And so from there, you can build out, the opportunity is to use cheaper licensing. A lot of not-for-profits are not aware of that. Grant management automation, being able to use AI to get grants from the government and be able to fill those forms in. AI for reporting. We use that quite a bit ourselves, where we analyse the tickets that we get every month and we work out where the trends are. So we can say, well, look, this is a trend. We need to look into that so we can maybe fix an issue here and lower those tickets. So using that information becomes very important. Accounting and finance, they've got a lot of data, important data in accountancy practices, client financial data, and if that's lost, leaked, or ransomware, they're a high target for those areas, then it can be game over for an organisation. They can lose their reputation. Their customers will not trust them. So where's the opportunity? Well, from there you can get document automation, AI-assisted reconciliation, secure client portals, all those sorts of things, which makes it easier for your clients to work with you. And lastly, in professional services, similar sort of area, there's client confidentiality, there's compromise attacks, but you can then use AI to help you with contact automation, CRM automation, and all those sorts of things. So the point is, if you get things secure, it gives you that great opportunity to grow your business using AI. And that's where eManaged comes in. That's their approach. We don't just do the hygiene. We don't just say, well, look, there's a ticket coming, we better fix it. What's our response time? And then also do some monitoring. We're looking at it in a holistic point of view. So we have a proactive service where we're looking at over 300 areas of your technology. So it's not just saying, is your laptop up to speed? Is it in warranty? We're looking at a range of areas so that we can give you information to show you where your risk is and give you a score. So it's based on technical garbage, so to speak, but it is presented to you as a business reason why you need to address this risk and what this risk will mean to you. From there, we built, we have that managed service agreement, which is all inclusive. It includes all our support. And what we're trying to do is drop down your reactive support so we can work more proactively with you and you get more bang for your buck then. You're not just spending a lot of money fixing the same tickets day after day, week after week. We want to get those down so we can build out a strategy for you, which is where the virtual chief information officer comes in. He comes in, Rob is our VCIO in the Ballarat area, and he looks at all that information that we've compiled, builds out the strategy with a 12 to 36 month budget, so that he can say, well, look, it's going to cost this much to fix this risk. You say, well, look, I don't want to do it now, but if we did that next financial year, let's plug it in there. And then after a while, you get to see all your budget, your IT budget mapped out for you, so that you can say, well, look, to the board, this is what we're doing, and this is what money we need. And then from there, your reports will show you, you might start at a 30%, and as you do projects and you fix things, it gets up to 70%, might get up to 80%, and you can show that to the board as well, showing where you're actually fixing issues in your IT. And that technology roadmap becomes the basis for running the technology in your business. He will look at your business plan as well and say, well, look, where do you want to take your technology? Where do you want to take your organization so we can make sure your technology aligns with that? So let's talk. Security and productivity are the same investment. They're not competing ones. So when you spend on your IT, make sure it's covering your security. Make sure your provider is addressing security concerns at the same time. A reliable, secure IT foundation is also very important for AI and automation. And the good news is you don't have to figure this out alone. We've built this process, we've built this method of proactive IT support services for our clients. We've been doing that for 10 years around Victoria. And our clients love that because they can see where their technology is now and what they need to do and how much they need to spend into the future. So that's my presentation. for tonight. Before I go on, User Shield, to example of what we've been doing in the background, User Shield is a tool that we have been rolling out to our clients. And what it does is it protects the user. So we've got 4 different bundles. User Shield is focused on the human layer. So I think Paul was talking about phishing simulation. That's what it does. It sends an email to your staff saying there's whatever it is. It might be an Australia Post email. It looks all legit, and it goes to all the staff. The staff then look at it. We find out who's clicking on the link, who's just opened the email, and you get that report back. And if they've clicked on the link and actually put in their credentials, it will come back. And then there's training that's associated with that, and that training, and you can do the training at any time. There's a number of modules. You send them out every week, every month, so that staff are getting trained on phishing attempts. But also that we're monitoring the dark web, because that's where the criminals are monitoring, and they're looking for, if one of your credentials comes up or one of your staff's credentials comes up on the dark web, we'll send it to you and say, well, look, this password has been advertised on the dark web. Are they using it on more accounts than just, say, LinkedIn? It might have come in from LinkedIn, this compromise, but they might be using that for their bank. They might be using it for your bank, or they might be using it for their Microsoft login. So it will tell you all that information. And it tells you where your user risk is, and so that you can be confident that your staff are being trained.